right, guys, we're just going to jump right into this. So the market just opened, New York session, about 30 seconds ago. So we're watching the opening moments of the New York session. And as we can see, we're seeing a little bit of a bounce here on the ES and obviously some of the other indexes like NASDAQ. We got the Russell 2000 that are all kind of in the same, they're all kind of in sync. Russell 2000 actually down versus ES and NASDAQ right now. But basically, we're just going to go over what happened Friday here first. So we had a huge run Friday on the indexes, just massive run. I mean, it never really stopped. We had this big candle here that was after the jobs report. We had that live in our video, and it just never stopped. I mean, it was basically just up only, which is pretty wild. You know, today's Monday, so we're actually. This is really just personal preference. I don't like to take a lot of trades on Monday, to be honest, mainly because Monday, especially after a big move like we just had, is typically going to be pretty choppy and slow. It doesn't have to be the case. That's not like a rule or anything. But what I really like to do on Monday is kind of, before I even make any predictions, or projections, not predictions, of different scenarios that might play out, I really just want to see like what is the order flow looking like over like the first couple hours. I mean, my initial thoughts, and this could change obviously, but my initial thoughts is, look, this is a tremendous move. If you actually look at this move, it was literally up only from the Sunday open all the way throughout the week. There was never any substantial pullback. And that's not actually normal. This was one of the biggest rallies actually ever, believe it or not. And that may sound like I'm exaggerating, but no, like if you actually look over a week basis, this is like for the record books right here. Actually, this is one of the bigger ones, especially over the last 10 years. Just massive move here. So why am I saying that? Well, what that tells me is like you're overbought. Like incredibly, you're already overbought. Not on the daily and not on the weekly. Like these are still good, and you got a lot of room in this rally potentially going forward from that perspective. But like in a more medium-term perspective here, and I don't know why my chart's taking so long to load. Sorry. You're extremely overbought, like on this 4 hour here. So again, we don't trade just on RSI, but I mean it is useful when you get. I mean to put it in perspective, the last time you were this overbought was on the previous run we had in June. Okay, and there was a pretty substantial pullback there. I think you're going to get some sort of a pullback. Now, I thought you were going to get a pullback, to be honest, on Friday. So don't be surprised if this kind of hangs out here. But again, we're going to just kind of take it easy here, and we're looking to, to long, some levels down here. Like I think, for starters, a level that I'm looking at pretty closely here is like 43.60. So just to see reaction at 43.60, this is a pretty decent level. Where is it? Like right here. I want to see a reaction there. Let me go down and see here, and then like really. Below that, based off of my data I'm looking at here, there's really not another level I'd be interested at until about 43.14, which is like a pretty substantial drop. So, I mean, hopefully we can get somewhere in here. This is a major level. It's right above the previous previous week value area high. It's actually a little bit lower, somewhere like in here. So, when you have these big explosive moves up, you can retrace them pretty significantly, or what I should say is pretty quickly if you start to get, a long liquidation down here. But that's not my base case. My base case is this is going to kind of like grind down. I don't want to spend too much time on this because, again, this is Monday. It might just kind of chop around. We will be definitely looking to trade this once we get a pullback. I think is worth giving a signal out on. So, if you're in the Discord, just keep your alerts on for that. But we have other opportunities right here, and we can talk a lot about crypto here in a minute. But before we go there, I really like this crude opportunity. I really, if you know my trading strategy in terms of giving, looking for swing longs, this fits everything here. So this is like about as perfect of a swing long as you could ask for, in my opinion, for crude. You're at a super significant level of support. Excuse me. Right here, roughly like 80 to 81. That's why we had this box here. And notice how it's getting buyers. It does have support. So we actually added along here on the pullback to about 81.20. So we're in a little bit of profit already on that, but this is a swing position. Like I'm actually building this one slowly. I'm not going all in at any particular level. I'm kind of just watching it as we go. But I think this is going to end up, and look, I could be wrong on this. I mean, oil is a very dynamic asset. There's a lot of things that will dictate where this could go, but I really like this level here, about 85. I really think this is going to be in the, you know, this is definitely in play here, about 85, 86. And for me, given just how much of a downtrend this has already had from the top, I mean, this is a really good opportunity for an asset that was structurally like, I mean, everybody was bullish on this, on oil just a few weeks ago, and it's had this big downtrend. No one's talking about it. I really like this one. So keep your eye on crude. This will probably be my favorite trade, at least this week, based off like from a swing trade standpoint. Outside of crypto. So let me just throw that asterisk out there. There's a lot of good setups in crypto, but for the legacy markets, I really like this. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Obviously, look, don't go all in here. I mean, that goes without saying. This is not financial advice, but just structurally seeing this accumulation down here for days now on crude, this looks good for me. But don't be surprised if you see a sweep down here to this 200-day moving average slash 78 level of support. Gold. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. To me, this is starting to look a little ugly. So we were talking about how bullish it looks on the higher time frame, which definitely looks really bullish. I'm not going to be surprised if this is a local top here. When I look at this, it looks to me like you're basically the opposite of crude. You're starting to get a lot of absorption from sellers up here, or absorption by sellers right here, and I'm not going to be surprised. And actually, my base case is it's probably going to pull back here. Now, I'm not taking a trade on this. I'd rather just wait to long this. That'd be about a little bit over 2% dip, I think. I'm going to be surprised if it goes under this 200-day moving average slash 1948 level. But, 1950 roughly, that's a good place to look for, to add to a gold position. But, with risk assets going crazy, I'm not surprised to see this pull back. I mean, they're not inversely correlated, but gold was doing really well when equities was slumping over, and now equities is in the limelight. Everyone's focusing on that, so this doesn't surprise me. And then silver, same situation, but structurally, to me, this still looks really good. I mean, it actually looks better than gold to me on the lower time frame. Like, it looks to me like, yeah, you could get a dip here, probably maybe mid-range here. That's about 1%. I don't think this is going to break lower than this, but hey, I'm not a silver expert, to be honest. I'm just looking at this from a chart perspective, and it still looks good. So I'd be looking along a pullback if it comes closer to 23. We're keeping an eye on that. Again, only trade I'm in right now is crude, but that's more of a swing position, and I'm willing to allow that to go to 78. So I'm pretty much flat for the day here. In terms of, we just talked about ES. Let me just give a little update because this is all happening live. It looks like it's still fighting here above VWAP. You could have hit 2 scalps already off VWAP here, but I wanted to get this video out. So missed those, but that's okay. Again, this is really just chop here, so you're not really missing much. But those were definitely scalpable trades there. It's respecting VWAP, not surprising. I mean, this thing really has some strength coming out of last week. All right, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of interesting here, guys. I mean, to me, this is not. A lot of people think this isn't bullish, but the fact that it's having problems getting above 36, but I actually think this is bullish. Like, if you've traded Bitcoin in the past, this is not a weak Bitcoin pattern here. This is like, hey, I'm basically consolidating to rip higher. Now, to be fair, this is kind of a textbook bear flag if it doesn't actually accomplish that. And what I mean by that is if it doesn't break out to the upside here, there's a lot of stops it could take out all at once. But this is not weak. I'm just being honest. Like, I expect this to probably test somewhere closer to 36 or 37, maybe even 38. But it's not something I really think people should like FOMO into. But I'm just being honest that it's not weak yet, right? And that's really the main thing is, like, I think people who are long from lower, they're not nervous at all right now, and nor should they be. ETH, on the other hand, ETH looks a lot better. So we talked about this on Twitter and in the Discord. Yeah, ETH is just in a completely different space because it's been lagging for months now. I mean, you have a lot of compression built up here. And, if this can break, around 2,000, this thing is going to really get, pretty explosive to the upside. I would think it would get to 2,500 relatively quickly. That would be it, like basically doing what Bitcoin did, right? I mean, they're really out of sync. I mean, ETH is like here, right? If you actually look at it like one for one, ETH basically hasn't really even gotten started yet. So I'm expecting this to go higher. Now there is resistance up here, so look, I would never tell someone to FOMO into any long in crypto, but it still looks. I mean, this looks better than Bitcoin. And I expect for ETH BTC, which has been just abysmal lately, I expect for that to start to pick up. And I'm actually looking for that chart. Excuse me. Where are you at? There you are. Okay. So yeah, seeing some life in ETH BTC. This is actually a really, really good signal for altcoin. This is just a really good like litmus test or pulse on really how altcoins may perform. When ETH is performing well versus Bitcoin, that usually is a signal that hey, alts are going to start to do pretty well. And look at this. As we're talking, XRP's up like 10%, SUI's up like 7%. So a lot of these alts are just like ripping right now. Not all of them, right? But a lot of them actually are doing pretty well here. So we're going to actually put together an altcoin list and start talking about that in the Discord. But for now, for most of the day, I'm probably going to be just focusing on the indexes. This afternoon, we'll put together an altcoin plan. Look, these things are not just going to, you're still early on the altcoins. Even though they're moving up, trust me, these things are, look at Algorand. This thing is completely wrecked. It's amazing looking at this chart. So things like Algorand, there's so many charts like this that are just completely hammered that are just now getting started. So don't feel like you need to FOMO in. Yes, it's definitely time to start looking at altcoins, but this is so early in the cycle, in my opinion, that there's time to look at this sensibly, rationally, put together a plan, and move conservatively still. Okay, you're not at the phase yet where altcoins have just completely left you in the dust and that you like missed the move or something like that. Not even close to that. So looking forward to altcoins going into the end of the year and into next year. Yeah, guys, I think that's it for today. We are seeing a pullback in ES here. If we zoom in, we talked about how we think it's probably going to be choppy, probably pull back a little bit considering the massive move there. So we'll be looking along this if we can get closer to this 4360 area. Obviously, we want to see a reaction there first, or even to this 4369 area. See a reaction there first, and maybe we'll start to look to give some signals. Until next time, friends, happy hunting.